panel discussion, which is all about leading at that intersection of people, technology, policy, and transformation. Now, as GCCs evolve into strategic hubs, leaders must navigate a complex matrix of talent, emerging tech, shifting regulations, and enterprise reinvention as well. Now, this session truly brings together the top GCC leaders to decode how they are actually balancing all of these forces together to drive sustainable, future-ready transformation from India. Now, that's going to be our first panel discussion. And as I can see, all of our leaders, our speakers are all set to share their insights. Once again, without ado, please go ahead and share your thoughts on LinkedIn using the hashtag, which, by the way, is straight up there. So it's unmissable. That's hashtag ET Edge GCC Summit. So please go ahead and share your thoughts. Also, just resharing that there will be a survey link as well, the QR code of the survey link that will pop up. And please ensure you scan that QR code, sharing your thoughts by putting in your name and the name of your company and sharing your insights. We would love to hear from each and every one of you as well. All right, so it looks like I've got that quick go ahead to invite our speakers and the moderator for the session onto the stage for our first panel discussion, ladies and gentlemen, which is once again about leading at that intersection of people, technology, policy, and transformation. Let's see how these all come together, and let's hear it from our GCC leaders today. All right, so let's begin. Ladies and gentlemen, could we have a huge round of applause as I invite all of them onto the stage, starting with Mr. Jaideep Agarwal, the India GBS leader for Warner Brothers Discovery. Coming up next, we have Mrinal Duggal, who's the head of Sanofi Global Hub for Hyderabad. We have Pawan, Sachdeva, Managing Director, Technology for Carelon Global Solutions, India. Yeah, we can continue with that applause. It's a great morning. We've had a dose of caffeine, and we have all of them joining us today. We also have Mr. Kapil, Joshi, CEO of Quess IT Staffing, and we have Subba, Perepa, Managing Director in India, CTO from JPMC. And to moderate this discussion, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jaikumar, Subramanian, partner, Deloitte, India.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Hyderabad. Fantastic. It's Friday, and we are talking about the subject of GCC. Thanks, Bhatia, for the wonderful start and the powerful introduction for the purpose, progress, and the performance view. I would also like to thank our fellow panelists and the wonderful and eminent leaders within the Hyderabad, as well as the wonderful audiences here present for this, our opening inauguration panel discussion. The topic, as you hear, is about intersection, a very nice English word, around how do we bring the people, then policy, technology, and transformation. So that is the topic of today's panel discussion. But to just give you a context here on it, right? Everybody is interested on growth, right? We want to get the revenue growth, profitable growth, salary growth, GDP growth. So there is always one thing which we have repeatedly proven from the GCC circuit is all about how we are able to contribute to the growth, right? And also just to give you a context of the enterprise evolution and reinvention, which we speak about this intersection. So when an enterprise wants to grow, it started with the one headquarter company, but that is not sufficient to drive growth. So what happens, these enterprises, they went and opened up their offices, their operations in multiple countries. And slowly what happened, these enterprises became multinational enterprises. And then that fueled a part of the growth. Then what happened, just because we opened up in multinational enterprises, that is not truly representing the global ways of doing things. So let us make this multinational enterprises into a global enterprise by means of telling that whatever the best of the capabilities of each of these nations, let us bring together and truly make a global enterprise, right? So multinational enterprises became global enterprises. But that also fueled the growth for these enterprises. Then comes our technologies, right? And that's where we call about the digital technologies coming into the play. AI, automation, blockchain, IoT, and now 5G, right? And we said that these technologies are digital, and hence let us make these enterprises digital enterprise so that we are able to fire growth, right? And now what happened, these technologies are today started getting a lot of data. And each of this data talks something about the performance of our business or process or a domain, right? And now the people who use best use of this data and bring that intelligence around it, we are able to build an enterprise which is also a smarter enterprises. So digital enterprise to a starter enterprise, and slowly what happens, every enterprise will become an AI enterprise or a technology enterprise. So that's where we are here in terms of the growth journey to it. So this is on one side of the evolution. Second thing, if you see around the various transformations which we see on board now, right? And if you go to few of the automotive OEMs, they say themselves as that we are not a traditional automobile engineering company. We are transforming and transformed to a mobility platform company, right? If you go to an engine manufacturer, right, they are telling we are not manufacturing engine, but number of hours the engines are engaged with aircraft, so we only charge by a power by hour. So as a service company, right? If you go to a medical equipment manufacturer, they don't want to be known as medical equipment manufacturer. They also say that we are transforming towards an end-to-end healthcare solution provider. And if some examples around the elevator manufacturer, they say themselves as we do people movement as a service. So more and more what happened with the technology coming an intersection of driving the growth, slowly all these enterprises are also trying to adopt. What I mean is that it is becoming more stronger. And with this technology and culture of innovation and people being as part of this alone is not sufficient. Every state government has come up with their own GCC policy, but you have presented around it, right? Make in India, Skill India, Digital India. There are various programs which the government has also come up to drive this growth, right? And with semiconductor mission. So along with GCC, you also see a lot of manufacturing coming. And when manufacturing also come, it needs technology, it needs workforce and the people to drive that transformation and the growth, right? So this is the other aspect which I just want to cover. At the heart of all of it, today's GCCs, as Bhatia spoke about, we are not only a capability center, but the enterprise transformation is also something that is on the way. And slowly, as GCC will slowly is also becoming the global transformation and capability center also. So we are the next evolution of GCC's goods also be to transformation, right? So with that context here, I would like to leave the to hear the perspective around the transformation and how do we try to do this balancing act of all these four aspects in terms of the existing systems and the capabilities, as well as with the new technologies that is coming here, how we are able to do it from a large bank perspective. Subbu, if you could highlight, be great.
Yeah. So thank you so much. It's in the last 3 decades, right? I think when I look at the industry, these are the most exciting times where there's so much of a change, whether it's in technology and in business processes. So in this context, right, I think if you look at any industry, whether it's a financial industry like a BFSI or manufacturing or healthcare, all these industries have grown through organically or inorganically, which is through acquisitions. And then when you grow in this model, what happens is if you look from the technology lens, right, you accumulate a lot of different applications, and then with a mixed bag of applications where you have a duplicate functions. So, and these applications are, mostly in legacy, right? And then there's a continuous quest for every organization to modernize this platform so that we optimize our expenses. So this is a big problem, and then I think a lot of organizations started addressing. But I think what really makes real difference is how teams are modernizing these things, and then that how parties like differentiates in the industry. And then there are many ways, and then one of the promising ways, like when we look at some of these things, right, it always has to look from the data lens. So when you look at entire business process, look at your legacy applications, right? Where is the usage of these legacy applications in solving some of the core business processes, and then identify these business processes and work on number one, right? How long it's like taking in these legacy applications to do to perform this particular function, and then now gather as much data as possible so that you are powered by data, number one. And not many companies are spending enough on the data So you have a lack of data, which leads to a major failure in these things. So you have to always have a data-driven approach. And second, you need to look at the target state architecture and decide what is your target state architecture. If you have all the money on the earth, right, how you will design your application. So have that like a target, define your target state, and then you start working on from monolith architecture to microservices architecture, and there are multiple architectural patterns that are there. But start working on your architectural patterns, microservice architecture patterns, and then you also need to focus a lot on the delivery aspect, which is, are you building for a continuous delivery, right? You need to identify what's your MVP and then start adding core functionalities and then incremental delivery so that you get better every day, right? I think if you look at some of the Silicon Valley companies, they deliver or at least they release to the production more than 50 to 60 times. I think if you look at some of these a lot of the organizations, they don't deliver that quick, right? So we need to have that continuous delivery capabilities. Along with it, every use case that you pick it up on, right? You need to make sure that it makes business sense, right? When you are moving away from legacy into the modern, you need to deliver cost efficiencies, manage risks, right? And then modernize. And then the real winner is going to be how fast we move away from this legacy and then deliver modern experiences.
No, fantastic. So I think he started very nicely. It's a large bank, huge legacy, but we need to embrace the new technology in a way that we are able to sustain, as well as we need to also adopt in a future. Very nice way, Subbu. I just want to reach out to Pawan here, right? While Subbu spoke about it, it's always within the GCs, this operating model word keeps coming in, right? And it takes care of the headquarters agenda. Maybe I'm using the headquarter word here, the thing. Then we also wanted to add value and transform from the center. Then there are new things that keeps coming in as a central purpose and what is required to do the performance for the enterprise. Can you just talk about the what is our operating model example and what you practice, a kind of key insight?
Sure, absolutely. I think first of all, Lohit, with his keynote, set the right expectation, set the high note for entire day, and he spoke about very fascinating numbers, how GCs are growing, and rather GCs are ahead of entire India in terms of GDP and all, which is really good. But one thing which we are missing is, as GCCs are getting matured and numbers are increasing, similarly MSPs and tech partners are also evolving. MSPs are also coming up with new models to work in collaboration with GCCs. Those days are gone when MSPs used to consider GCCs as their competitors. Okay. Similarly, model of tech partners has evolved significantly. Tech companies also have their GCCs in India, so-called, if you have to use the term GCC, and they are also empowered to make their own decisions. So overall, it's a maturity of Indian engineering culture or engineering mindset, which is getting mature day by day. With that, another important aspect is technology. Evolution of technology is happening at unprecedented pace, which was never happening in past. Now, with all these changes together, global operating model needs to be evolved. And personally, I have seen getting evolved significantly. One, first of all, there is no competition between MSPs and GCCs. They are working in collaboration. Second, there used to be a very long route for GCCs. If we need any enhancement in a tech product, let's say Pega, Salesforce, AWS, we used to report that back to our HQ. HQ used to talk to tech partner, and that tech partner in turn again used to come back to engineering team for their tech product, which is again sitting in India. So now we have cut all those channels. GCCs are talking directly to tech partners, engineering teams in India to see how they can fix some of the gaps and challenges for them to be more effective. Because everybody had understood larger engineering workforce is already sitting in India. So how to evolve this? So with this, I'll answer your question now on operating model. So new operating model is a model where all these four entities are working together. GCC and HQ. HQ set the high level strategic vision for GCC. Then GCC and MSPs work together to see how we can leverage technology, because not GCCs need to reinvent the wheel from the scratch. We can leverage or tap on what MSPs and tech partners are doing so that GCCs can focus more on business and transformation rather than running behind technology. So new model is HQ, GCCs, tech partners and MSPs working together to transform, innovate and focus on business impact.
No, fantastic, right? Very clearly, Pawan spoke about it's a multilateral ecosystem collaboration, right? And I can always say that the number of layers between the headquarter organization to a GCC organization, then to a alliances and your MSP's organization. So number of layers or 3 or 4 layer is now cut down together, come with a joint equilateral operating model. I think very nicely spoke about the business impact and the outcome, right? And increasingly GCCs are known for what business impact we could make, right? So with that, I leave the floor, Mrinal, the new GCC and the young GCC here, right? And there is a lot of learnings that has come in here. So we just want to hear from you also, right? What is the kind of the global impact and any examples of successful transformations, agenda and mission which you have taken, and to hear your impact story from your side.
Thanks, Jaideep. And in fact, just wanted to add that most of the organizations are at different levels of maturity. What you've reached would have taken a lot of time to reach there. So there are newer organizations which are still struggling with the complex operating model within the organization. How do you navigate within the organization? And that is the first step to achieve before moving on to creating that ecosystem within with the partners around. So from a transformation perspective, I think Sanofi, we have a very unique example of having a centralized top-down approach of how we would want to bring this transformation, which was around centralizing all the shared services as well as all the specialized services together, understanding what are the right locations for that, understanding what are the capabilities required for that. So it was done as a program, which I have not seen in my past experience. So it was led by one leader, spoken to all different leaders of the organization, one project plan, one program plan, and then you follow through it. Very simple 3-step approach: centralize what can be centralized, then scale it up, and then or start bringing standardization and then automation, or implement AI or different technologies to make the most of it and create that impact. So having spent a few years now with this journey, we have started to see, we've now starting to see the impact and the value creation for the organization. And very simple examples of the go-to-market capabilities that we have now. So for the entire globe, the Salesforce, how do you call it? The analytics, let's say for the competition or for a particular market, is being centrally done at at Hyderabad, for example, or the entire demand planning for the manufacturing is being done out of Hyderabad. So these are some of the key successes that we've achieved. And not just there, we are now working on the data platforms to see what is it that can be centralized and what are the data mesh or data lakes that we can work on here, and then bring the technology that can be implemented here, which then takes to the conversation: can we connect to the different partners from the GCC? That becomes very important, and that's where we are reaching now. So that's a small journey that we've gone through.
If I may add to what
Please
Mrinal mentioned, I think very right. Each GCC goes through same maturity, though we know what is the best practice across, but then whenever you start working with a new leader, it's a journey from ground zero to ground level 4. Okay, but then from my experience, rather than you running in that journey alone, how you can leverage existing or larger ecosystem plays a very important role, because there are MSPs who are already supporting your HQ. They already have good relationship with your US leaders or your HQ, wherever your HQ is. How you can tap on that relationship and start working in a collaboration to expedite transformation, because internally GCCs over a period with a scale become microcosm of the enterprise. And it is very easy for GCs to break the silos and leverage or tap on relationship of MSPs to expedite transformation.
And you've touched on a very important point. One, the silos. So interestingly, we've started calling ourselves a mini Sanofi, because we feel we have all the functions representing Sanofi here in Hyderabad, for example. And recently we had to do a very quick project where we were struggling, where do we go? And we realized that all the teams that we require, all the work that we require can be done from the office, and we got it done in 2 days, which actually would have required about 30 days time.
That's the beauty of mini HQ in India, sitting under one roof, where you can expedite transformation and do much faster.
No, absolutely. Very nice point, right? And very key point I learned from what Mrinal and just to add is that the global impact, what she spoke was that the demand planning for the global manufacturing happens out of the center here, and they're building capabilities, right? So there is a bit of India in every product that get manufactured. That's a very big competitive advantage statement from a GCC's purpose and the way we are trying to bring the global impact. I think Pawan was also alluding to the point. There is already a jumpstart capability and alliances that is available, and how do we bring that also into the operating model? Because then the acceleration for your scaling or innovation comes in also another point, right? So I just want Jaideep to flow to you. If you could highlight and give examples of successful transformation in your
No, thanks for that. So just two things I want to start with. I don't think all GCCs who are setting up now have to go from 0 to 4 journey. Most of the GCCs who are setting up now are starting at step 1 or step 2, and I'll share our example. And what Lohit shared, you missed out the most important industry in your presentation, media and communication. It's like harakiri, basically. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Jaideep Agarwal. I represent Warner Brothers Discovery here. I describe our presence here as we are a startup with a 100-year legacy. That's the way I would like to describe our GCC presence, at least in the external context, etc. Internally, we are known as any other office. It's a Hyderabad office. I think a couple of things from a journey perspective was we have our OTT platform called HBO Max. Close to about 120 million consumers of the content on OTT Max. Now, pretty much we started with the consumer and the commercial aspect of OTT Max out here in Hyderabad. What does that mean? Consumer, anybody who signs up with us and wants to consume our content, what kind of rights, what kind of accesses on my platform, whether it's a mobile app or whether you want to watch it on a TV, all that is controlled by the team out here. Second, payments. My payment gateway, the entire team which runs the global payment gateway of all the 120 million customers globally, that's run out of here in Hyderabad. So back to the point on traversing from a 0 to a 4, we probably started somewhere between 1 and a 2 kind of a scenario. We didn't have to start with, hey, first do the low-hanging fruits, prove your value, and then we'll see whether we want to give you something else, etc. I would say the ecosystem in Hyderabad made us deliver that. So when I hosted our CIO, our CFO, our global head of studios here, when they went around and saw the kind of work which was happening, everybody went back to fundamentally relook at the broader operating model in which they were delivering their services. And pretty much from day one, we are delivering services. Of course, we are delivering a lot of corporate functions, but within the second year, we started delivering revenue support functions, what we call as content operations. The content which you consume, there's a lot of magic which happens between the raw footage which gets filmed and the time you actually see the content on an OTT platform or a content you see in front of TV. We are already doing content operations work here, be it in terms of audio support, in terms of video editing, or even ancillary content, like think of trailers, etc. and all. We are already beginning to support that. And we are in our year 2 of operation. Now, how was that possible? As I said, back to, because the ecosystem was such that it enabled our thought process to be aligned with, hey, let's not start with the basic low-hanging fruits, deliver value and then do. No, everybody in the firm was aligned with the fact that yes, Hyderabad or India can deliver value and we go from there. So that's, I would say, is what has been our journey so far. In fact, next week we are celebrating our second anniversary of having established ourselves in Hyderabad. So that's a quick nutshell is what I would like to share at this point in time.
No, fantastic, Jaideep, and congratulations for this this anniversary. I think very key point is that he also spoke about the wonderful impact, right? The payment gateway of the global, the architecture, technology support happens out of the center over here, right? That's a very powerful impact statement. 120 million users. See, this is all the volumetrics that is very important for us because that is only keeps the GCC also in terms of building that common advantage. It is also used to also inspire the people from the talent and everything. So with that, I go to Kapil. I'm making you wait here, right? So you see the lot of skills for AI coming into it, and within the talent ecosystem, if you see that, as I see the Bhatia's report, more than 65%, the new AI requirement has grown in. So just want to understand from you about what from the AI context you do, how are you helping to bridge this gap from your organization perspective?
Okay. Pawan, I mean, when Lohit presented telecom, it included telecom and media communication also. So that data, what he presented, was including the media numbers also. But the fact is that, like Pawan mentioned, they are doing a lot of content curation, recommendation, integrating the payment gateway. Similarly, there is a go-to-market strategy, what Mrinal has mentioned, and a lot of AI goes behind it. Okay. At Quess, we recently published one AI report. Okay, we did deep research. Just for your consumption, India GCC ecosystem already had 180 COE. So while India has 1800 GCC, out of those 1800 GCC, 180 already have a COE for AI and data. There are roughly 100,000 employees working only on AI and data out of 2 million people who are working in GCC. We have seen huge surge in AI demand. The demand in last 1 year has grown by 45% for AI and ML. There is a growth of almost, demand growth has increased by 60% for data. Especially for generic Gen AI, the demand is grown by 170%. This is just one analysis, but our biggest problem is talent demand supply gap. Today we have 42% demand supply gap for AI. So it means for every 100 position, there are only 60, active job seekers on AI. Okay, that is what the data we publish, and we have a couple of copies of AI report also lying there on our kiosk. You can go through the detail. What we realize, one thing that today GCC are mainly relying on lateral hiring. If you do, there is another analysis we have done. The 50% of the talent acquired by GCC is from within the GCC ecosystem, and another 50% come from the IT services, from your partner. Okay, so can we build an ecosystem where we focus on the skill development, because there is no option available apart from the skill development, building your own talent. And then we also seen the trend, people are moving to tier 2 city. You have seen Ahmedabad, Coimbatore, Kochi, Mysore has become a big hub for, AI and ML data pool. In fact, the demand growth in tier 2 city within GCC space is growing faster. There is almost 50% demand growth, while in metro city, the demand growth is around 17 to 18%. So I think talent will be the key, but like Lohit mentioned, India produce almost 2.5 million STEM graduate every year, 1.5 million fresh engineers every year. So the supply chain is enough, but we have to build the ecosystem. You have government initiative, you have ELI scheme, PLI scheme coming up, and with all together combination, I think the problem can be easily solved.
Okay. No, thanks, Kapil. I think that's a good summary of, and your report, latest report is also quite informative about it. So I request everyone also go through the report. And I'm coming back, Subbu, to you, right? Large investments in IT. There is a way as a head of the center you need to demonstrate value and impact, right? And from that angle, if you could highlight one of the successful transformation from your side, right? And also see that how a culture which you have built in your enterprise to bring some of this transformations that will help us to run through. Audience.
Sure. So if you look at JP Morgan, right, I think we spend approximately $17 billion in technology, right? And then 1/3 of the technology workforce operate out of this geography. And we serve like millions of customers in the US, for different lines of businesses, and especially in consumer banking, we operate under the brand of Chase. So in this context, where we mastered in launching products, right, to various geographies, right? So Chase is mostly operated in the US, and then when we decided to go global, right, any product launch, right, and then goes through a certain set of processes that we mastered over a period of time. So when we decided to go global, we took all the lessons that we learned as a part of our product implementations, and then we picked up a UK as a location, and we started a couple of years back, launched a fully digital bank in UK, and then within a couple of years we touched 2.5 million customer base, and then with a superior digital experience to all that customers, and then we have grown significantly, right? And then this happened through our seamless designing of a product, launching of a product, right? A scalable architecture that we have, so that we spend very less in our tech maintenance, but at the same time we get highest customer experience. I think these kind of things are possible only through achieving an excellence in launching multiple products in multiple geographies, and then we are expanding to the other countries. We're starting in Germany in 2026 and so on. So I think when you go and then try to transform your digital capabilities, there are certain tenets that you definitely need to keep in mind. Number one, I think you need to understand the landscape of what is the business need there, what customers really want, right? And then how do you launch this particular product? What is the feedback mechanism, when customers challenges, right? Then how quickly you're able to fix these things and then launch and then modify your product to meet the demands. That ecosystem is really critical in launching these capabilities.
No, fantastic, Subbu. And Subbu reiterated the point, we are launching products, we are launching platforms. I think increasingly one of the key aspects of building competitive advantage for the GCCs here is that we also create new products and platforms of global impact, right? And increasingly, just as statistics here, out of almost today we have global GDP of 107 trillion. The next 30% of the GDP growth will come from the new platforms in which we will engage, right? And as you see that today we already are engaged with so many platforms in our market. So this is also going to also fuel the particular growth here, right? I just want to pause on, right? And when you spoke about product launches, it's for the customers and customer centricity. And because customer centricity is directly also a business accountability. So any examples around customer centricity point of view from the GCC is what you do?
May not be directly from our own GCC, but one thing which I am observing very frequently with most of the GCCs, there are two types of GCCs. One who do operations also in India, which means they have their products which they are selling in India. And then there are a lot of GCCs who do not have any direct business or consumer sitting in India, but then their parent companies are doing business. We are more of a tech and operation center in India. So those companies are now creating a R&D and innovation lab in a way where they can give their engineers true experience of business. Like for example, if you are sitting in India and you have to create a system for point of sales, how it happens? Like your items could be very different from each store. What you are selling, when customer come to your store and try to buy this item, what are the challenges they face? So they create a mini POS system in India so that their engineers learn about it and then innovate. And then innovation is 10x, then without knowing the pain area of your customer. So that is where I think creating that knowledge first is very, very important, and giving them the experience of consumer so that you can look into or you can think from shoes of your customer helps you to expedite.
Fantastic.
I just wanted to add, maybe I'm changing the direction to internal customers as well. And this is, I'm sure all of us would have gotten the same feedback when some of the internal stakeholders come and see that there's a lot of energy that we see here. We've missed that in Europe or US. And that attitude to say yes without even knowing what needs to be done, it's always there. You ask something, yes, we'll do it, and then we'll try to understand what needs to be done. That gives that kind of confidence that people are willing to do the work. And then the best combination in the world that you get about the highest number of English speakers, or the kind of adaptability to technology, the way we've adopted the mobile phones or the digital payments, or whatever Lohit mentioned in his presentation. It's like, I think India is the only place and has the unique set of capabilities with people where people can do it. So that plays a very important role in customer service as well, because the better your processes are here, it will impact the customer service or the customer satisfaction in a way. Also, just as an example, for Sanofi, we have consolidated the customer, the complaints management, again, centrally for the entire globe. So that's also something we're doing, but not directly related to customer service, but more like the complaints management, I would say.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll digress a little on this one and talk about different ways in which places like these can support from a revenue standpoint. Look, our content is created in English, and then it gets translated into over 52 plus languages globally, and that gets distributed, be it in theaters or be it on networks or OTT platforms. So to be able to leverage technology instead of humans sitting and translating that content is the big leap or a big shift, is what I would say. So speed to market increases pretty drastically, right? So it would take humans to do the dubbing over a period of time. Now with leveraging technology, we are able to do much faster. Think of a movie or think of a series being released in India. The Indian Cinematographic Act or the latest one says every time there's a tobacco product in your hand or a cigarette, you got to have the statutory warning down there: cigarette smoking is injurious to health. Now, earlier, it would require a human to sit through the entire footage, notice every damn single frame, and identify from where to where, and then go and superimpose. Now, with leveraging technology, we're able to do that much faster, and not just for the newer content. I can look at my entire content library, which I'm wanting to bring to the country, and be able to leverage technology to do that. Now, clearly, could there be false positives? Absolutely, yes. So I'm doing more QC of how I've leveraged technology versus going through each and every damn piece individually. Now, the flip side on the dubbing is, and I was giving this example somewhere else as well, our movies, say, as they get released in a particular language, say Italian, let's take that, and the actor, think of any name. Now, traditionally, his or her voice has been dubbed by a local Italian, and so people associate that actor with that voice. Now, with new technology, you can actually have the same voice of the actual actor in Italian as well. But the question is, it will cause dissonance now in people's mind because they're used to hearing a different sound of that actor, which was the dubbed sound, etc. So you've got to be very careful in the way you use technology equally as well, and not just blindly do that. So those are some examples I'd like to share on our side.
No, this is really wonderful, right? And one of the performance zone is unlock the value which you already have built in the enterprise, right? Existing content, translation, localizing to the feed, right from dubbing. It's a great impact story. And this is also something like what Subbu spoke about, right? Use the existing as well as how do you embrace the new coming into the picture. Customer complaint handling, while not only for manufacturing, but also the global customer complaint handling. And Mrinal spoke about it's not only an external customer, it is also an internal customer. Why to say yes? Yes, that gives a lot of confidence, guys. We can scale fast or we can do things or innovate fast from that aspect. With a lot of confidence and guts, we are able to do, but we also need to have that rationale around what we try to do, right? Again, coming back, which is one of the key aspect, Kapil, on the policy side, right? So there is a lot of GCC growth from a state government side, central government side, and there is a national GCC policy framework that is also in the play, right? I just want to hear from you, right? What policy or what thoughts or ideas to unlock the key need for the talent growth which you look for?
So first, let me update what is happening on policy side. I think there is a lot already done, and you should know it. Most of the state government has already created a single clearance window. Okay, setting up a shop in India is very difficult. You need hundreds of license, and you need to comply with thousands of labor laws. And I think one common thing across all the state, whether it is Andhra government policy or Karnataka or Telangana or UP, one common thing across all the GCC policy I have seen is the single clearance window. Now, second thing, I think where most of the state government has taken a big step is if you see your GCC, the biggest cost, capex is not the biggest cost, right? We are a knowledge industry. Our biggest cost is our operational cost, and in operational cost, we have definitely two kind of cost. One is manpower cost, and other one is your infrastructure cost. Okay, when you see the manpower cost, okay, most of the government has actually come with the subsidy or some let's say for example a GCC can claim up to 50% of their stipend. Government can reimburse it, right? There is another state government who is actually doing a salary reimbursement up to 25% of your GCC employee, right? So there are different format, and even I think Andhra government is also doing the reimbursement of reskilling spend you have on your employee up to 36,000 rupees per employee they are reimbursing. So your reskilling is reimbursed, your stipend is reimbursed, your salary amount is reimbursed. So that is your biggest cost, manpower cost. Then you come about the operational cost. I think there are various government has given different benefit, including your rent reimbursement, your property tax waiver, or some government is giving electricity, subsidized electricity. There are government who are actually giving you the land, and also up to 40 crore. Like UP government is also investing a lot and co-sponsoring in your capex. Okay, so some interesting policy. I think Lohit presentation was it was there, but not exactly the detail. But I can share offline if any one of you need those policy detail. But government has gone far ahead. I think most of the GCC are not aware, are not using those policy, those reimbursement or subsidy. But I think there is a lot already done. And then there is a central government which has come with the startup. And I think in GCC, I have seen a lot of innovation work is happening along with the startup. Okay, it is very difficult to acquire the talent for everything, and I think GCC has become a new incubation center for the startup ecosystem. And through Startup India, government is also subsidizing those tie-up through GCC. So there is a lot, and probably I can discuss offline. But yeah,
sure. I see the time is up, but thanks, Kapil, here for this summary here. So, any quick words, Jaideep, for the audience you would like to highlight? Mrinal, quick 1 or 2 liners.
All I'll say is, keep aiming higher. I mean, that's the only thing is what I would say.
I think India is the future. So no doubts about it. Even if we continue doing what we are doing, we'll be number 1 soon, not number 3 economy. So I'm just looking forward to that.
global solutions from Indian engineers is a new mantra.
Those vision from Indian engineers, fantastic.
Definitely, I would like to see India as a global talent hub, and innovation hub.
Yeah, most exciting times, and make the most out of it.
Fantastic. I'll just quickly summarize, right? So we heard today wonderful around the global platforms, the market making platforms, thick architecture around technology happens out of the GCC over here. Direct customer centricity capability we deliver from the GCCs, right? The large banks, the modernization happens out of the center here, right? And above all, we can give any amount of money and buy a technology, but it's the people and the culture of innovation that makes a difference to every enterprise. With that, I would like to summarize and end this particular panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our speakers.